Here we're looking at the amount of air that our human lungs actually hold. I want you to think about that. Are you a shallow breather? This is how much air, of course depending on your age and your health condition and the size of your body, but this is the average amount of air, about 28 pounds of air in our lungs. Check your breathing right now. Are you a shallow breather? Are you replacing that stale air with good, clean, fresh oxygen? I'd like to talk about the fresh, clean air, and because so much of our indoor air is polluted, of course, we can remove those contaminants from our life as best as possible, but what if you're driving in traffic? What if you're driving in traffic every day and you've got your outside air on and those fumes from the vehicle in front of you are coming in? Or worse yet, what if you've got a brand new vehicle? Have you ever recall smelling new car smell? Those are all volatile organic compounds that you're inhaling as you drive. So combination of new car smell or that fragrance disc that you have hanging from your rear view mirror, or breathing in that exhaust. There's a really great little company called Air Oasis. AirOasis.com is their website. And they make these portable air conditioner or air purifiers, I would have to say. And this one in particular you can use with both in a home or you can use this in your car. And what's so nice about it is you can just plug it into the lighter. It has 3 different settings, and so it can help to purify the air when you're driving. Although I take the unit with me when I go to hotel rooms and just plug it into the wall, and then I can get the smells that they've used, the chemicals, to clean the room, or perhaps someone that was in there before with heavy perfume. You can get rid of those odors. You can also buy a larger unit and purify the air in a home. So, for many reasons. If we've got an attached garage, then every time we open the garage door and some of those smells come in, or our personal care products, or our cleaning products for that matter. Or you've left home for the day and the window is open, and you've come home and somebody has sprayed their trees with pesticides, or another person has used a leaf blower and the exhaust fumes from that is in your home. So all kinds of ways that we can really not only try to avoid these contaminants, but if they're around us and we can't control that, we can use great little tools like this. For our next experiment, I want to give you an indication of what might be in your air. In other words, if we need to sweep the floors, we can kind of see it needs some attention. Or if we need to dust, we kind of can see that. But what about these contaminants that we're breathing that are affecting our respiratory health, that are in our home? So what we're going to do, and this is an experiment that you can show to other people, it's very easily done, but what we're going to do is we're going to use different food coloring in our water to kind of take the place of these chemicals so we can really see what we might be exposed to. So for instance, you get up in the morning and you're getting ready for work, and we're going to use blue dye as the chemicals that are emitted from your soap or from your shampoo. Maybe use deodorant or hairspray or perfume or any of those kinds of things, or even fingernail polish. So we're getting ready for work, and so we've got a few different contaminants that we've been exposed to. Now, let's say that you're getting dressed for work and you decided you were going to wear a suit that was recently dry cleaned. Well, in that case, we're now being exposed to the chemicals emitted from the dry cleaning process. Now, next, you're commuting to work, whether it's by car or bus or even riding your bicycle. You're exposed to all of that exhaust coming out of the different engines. And so now we'll use red for that. And then let's say you're getting takeout for lunch, and you've got it in a styrofoam container and you're eating with plastic silverware. Well, again, that is giving off different types of chemicals. So now we've got a few more drops of yellow that we've got. The trip back home, of course, we've got exhaust, again, that we're being exposed to. So there's a couple more. And then you got home and you decided you needed to cut the lawn. So you're using your lawn machinery or your lawnmower, or you're working in the garden. And we've got some other kind of chemicals when it comes to that. And then, my goodness, you're getting ready for bed. And you've got more of your personal care products. Or maybe for dinner that night, you did a little bit of restaurant food and more takeout. Can you see at the end of the day, if we could see this, it would look something like this, that we've been exposed throughout the day to chemicals and pollutants that we never really even considered before. So one of the things that we can do on a daily basis is to actually wash out the nasal cavities, these sinus cavities. They're doing a tremendous amount of work for us, especially if you're not a mouth breather. Your nasal cavities are purifying that air as we breathe throughout our day. So we can use a neti pot, but we can also do something which I don't know. I've always called it the warm washcloth method. And you can see I don't really have a washcloth here, but this is what one can do, is you just get it quite wet, and then what we'll do is I'll breathe in very slowly, very gently. And what will happen is the suction of the incoming air will bring in some of the water up into the nasal cavity, and then simply exhaling to let that water come back out. It's a phenomenal thing. When I was very sick with allergies as a young person, I always found that if I went into the bathroom and took that washcloth and breathed in that water and kind of rinsed out my sinuses, that I would stop that sneezing fit from so much pollen. So it goes something like this, and typically I'll have a, in the sink in the bathroom, fill it up with warm water with a washcloth. But what you would do is you'll get it wet, and then you just breathe it in gently. And then let it back out. And just rinse and rinse and rinse that over and over again. And it really can help with all kinds of allergies and just cleaning that out if you have a cold or any kind of congestion. Instead of using air fresheners or air purifiers, how about if we just use our aroma ball? It could not be more easy, and it comes with these little cardboards. And so we can take our Breathe Deep, which is just wonderful with its citrus and all of its aromatic trees in it, and we can take a drop or two of that on the cardboard. You slide it in, and you simply plug it into the wall. Kind of like a nightlight. There's about that much heat that comes off of this, so it gently diffuses it into the room over a period of time. They're really very easy to use, and you can actually dampen it just a little bit and put the oils on it, and then you can use less oils. But this is just a tremendous way to gently diffuse things into the room. I'd like to demonstrate a technique called pursed lip breathing, and this is found on the American Lung Association website. For pursed lip breathing, you do want to be relaxed. It's very difficult to do deep breathing exercises if you're very tense. When we do this exercise, it tends to help control rapid breathing or shortness of breath. So this is an excellent technique to kind of calm the body down, bring more oxygen in, and get rid of that stale air and that extra carbon dioxide that we need to eliminate from the body. In pursed lip breathing, the whole idea is to breathe in through the nose and then exhale through pursed lips. And what we do is we exhale twice as long as we inhale. So in my mind I'm counting, but I'll use my fingers to kind of show you what I'm doing. So for instance, if we are short of breath right now, it's going to be difficult to take a long inhalation in. So a pursed lip breathing exercise, and by the way, should last about 5 minutes, would be as long as you can bring in the air to whatever number that is, and then again, twice as much on the exhalation. We're trying to get rid of that old, stale air. And by deep breathing, we're going to exercise our lungs and exercise those little alveoli sacs and bring life again to that area of the lungs. So let's demonstrate. So it is, we're relaxing. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through pursed lips. Got it? The next one I'd like to demonstrate is called belly breathing or diaphragmic breathing. As you recall, the diaphragm is a very large muscle that helps us with our breathing, and as we age, just like most of the muscles in the body, it becomes weaker. So we need to strengthen that diaphragm, and by doing belly breathing, you will do just that. So in belly breathing, what you're going to want to do is always have your hands on your tummy. It's recommended that you do this lying down, but we're going to do it standing up just so that you can see what I'm talking about. So now when I inhale, what I'm going to do is you're going to see my belly grow. And then you'll watch my belly move. So I'm going to be doing belly breathing. All right, so again, it's in through the nose and out through pursed lips. Something like this. This next one I want to demonstrate is something that I learned way back in the 1970s. I had severe asthma growing up as a child and spent 15 years of my life on daily steroid treatments. Also several trips of my poor parents taking me to the hospital for shots of adrenaline when I would turn blue. And it wasn't until I started learning about natural health and about learning ways that I can help my respiratory system that I found some answers. And one of them was in a very small book called The Science of Breath. It was written in 1901 by the Yogi Publication Society. And this small booklet had a number of deep breathing exercises in it. So what I would do every morning, I had, a very early start to my day to get to work, but I set the alarm a half an hour early, and I would go into my living room and I would do some of them lying down, some of them standing up. And one of the ones that I used was called an alternate nostril breathing, which was really interesting in and of itself. And basically that was just inhaling through one nostril and exhaling through the other, and then inhaling through that one and exhaling through the other. And all of these breath exercises, they all have the same basis, which is increasing the amount of air, becoming aware of our breath, and strengthening the respiratory system. But I'd like to show you an exercise that it was just called deep breathing in this book so many years ago. And the reason I like it is because it was something that I was very familiar with doing and I've done throughout my life. And I can tell you that when I first started doing this particular breathing exercise, I hardly could get any air in or any air out, and I realized how poor my respiratory tract was. So now let's fast forward over 40 years, and I'd like to demonstrate what I was taught in this little publication. In this publication, in this exercise, we were to exhale as much air as possible and even collapsing the body as we did so, really pushing as much of that old stale air out as we could. And then as we inhale, and again, inhalation is all done through the nose always, because the nose purifies air, warms the air, humidifies the air, and then exhalation is always through the mouth. And you will find dozens of different breathing exercises. So whichever one works for you is the one I would recommend. But for this particular one, again, you'll notice that my body, this one is done standing, will collapse as I exhale as much of the air out. And then as I come up, you'll even see that I lift my shoulders, because we have a lobe of our lung that's very small, but it is up here, and unless we can really lift our shoulders, we can't get the air up into those cavities of the lung. So inhalation, exhalation, we're not counting, we're not trying to make one longer or shorter than the other, just simply breathing. So it goes something like this. So again, you'll notice that there's no counting, it's just whatever you feel comfortable with, but push yourself on the exhalation and push yourself on the inhalation, and keep strengthening and filling those areas of the lungs that have had stale air for so long. I'd like to demonstrate a neti pot. Neti pots have been used for really thousands of years, and people use them to kind of clean the nasal passages. And people recommend putting a little bit of saline solution in there, or Silver Shield, not both, of course. So Silver Shield liquid or a little bit of saline solution. If you're brave, you could put in, a drop of the essential oil. Sometimes I think that's just a little bit too strong. But whatever you like, you can put probiotics in it, a little bit of probiotic in the water if you've got some kind of congestion or perhaps some, infection or anything like that. So what you do with the neti pot is, the whole idea is just to rehydrate, kind of flush and clean that sinus area, much like the wet washcloth method. And although it isn't very pretty, I'm going to tell you right now, but what we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how we get the water in this side. It will come out this nostril, and then at the end I'll exhale through the nose and get the rest of the water out. It really is a fabulous way to again, cleanse that area of the body, rehydrate it, and just get things working anew. So it goes something like this. You're going to want to have this eye looking down at the sink. Most of the time we do this at a sink. So always have this eye looking down at the drain. It's kind of the best angle for it. And then very gently tilt this so you get the right amount of water. If you do it improperly, of course, the water will go down your throat the first couple of times and it'll feel a little funny, but you'll get the hang of it. So again, we've got this eye looking down at the sink, and then we're just going to gently fill. I have to kind of not talk when I do this, but it goes something like this. That's how it's done. For this demonstration, you simply need a white sock. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it on a tailpipe of a car. Do it when the tailpipe is cool, of course, because we don't want to burn our hands. But what we do is we put this on the tailpipe and then let the engine run for anywhere to 5 or so minutes. It's not going to blow off if you've got it on there secure. It's not going to catch on fire. These are all the things I thought would happen when I first did it. But it's a great, great experiment to show you what we're breathing. The average vehicle emits almost 4.5 pounds of pollution into the atmosphere every 21 miles. Now that's a fairly new car, so you can imagine what old cars are putting into our atmosphere. And if it's in our atmosphere and we're breathing it in as we're on the freeways, it's in your lungs. So this is something called a particulate matter, which is a very, very fine particle that we don't necessarily see, but we're breathing it in.